today we're going to be potting up some Barbados cherry and pineapple guava cuttings that we got. If you watched my last video, someone at our community garden gave us a plot there, and it has a Barbados cherry, pineapple, guava, and then these other different tropical plants that I'm really excited about. So we don't want these plants just at our community garden, we also want them at our house here. So we took some cuttings. I don't know if the guava cuttings are going to take, this seems a little bit difficult. Barbados cherry cuttings should take pretty easily. So one of them I didn't notice, but it has a little flower on it. And so the plant at our community garden is flowering, so we'll get some fruit from that soon. But to start off, you want to remove most of the leaves, not all of them, but some of them. So we're just going to take, and the ones at the bottom, it was in a glass of water because we kind of forgot to plant them or something. So the ones at the bottom are a little bit rotten. So we're just going to go on this cutting a little bit. I don't know, I'll experiment, leave more leaves on others and less on others. And I have this rooting hormone powder we're going to test. I'm going to put half of them rooting hormone, half not, and see which has a higher percentage of rooting. Just put it in, tap the extra off, and just stick it in the pot. And the method we're using is the mini greenhouse method, which is you have your cuttings in the pot and you put a plastic bag over it to hold the moisture, so it's like a little greenhouse. You do not want to put these in the sun because it will heat up in there and your cuttings will die. But up here is in the shade, and instead of individually bagging all these, I'm just going to use this whole bin. It doesn't have a lid, so I'm just going to put all the pots here and put this on top of the greenhouse. That's a lot easier than bagging each individual bunch, and then you can just, each individual pot, and you can just lift it off to see all of them. So we're going to continue with trimming off some of this growth. I'll leave the flower on there just to see what happens. So this one has rooting hormone, so we'll just put a sticker on there to identify it. Okay, and then I'm just going to remove all the leaves on this one, see if that makes a difference. For better or worse, let me know in the future. And then now the last one. Same thing. Trim it a little bit. When the plant's first starting to grow, I don't think it can really support all this growth. And then for the last pineapple guava cutting, we're just gonna stick it in there, and then now we're gonna water them in. So this potting soil is kind of dry, so I'm probably gonna have to water them a couple times. So you kind of water them once, put the greenhouse on, and leave it. Okay, well, I guess you don't want to overwater it, but I probably just did, if that's the thing. Okay, so now to finish up, we're just going to, oh, another thing. If these cuttings look similar, you should mark them so you know what you have. For different varieties of the same thing, you definitely need to mark them because you're not going to remember. But here, there's easily tell the difference between these two, so there's no problem there. So we're just gonna put this little greenhouse over. And now, come and look in here. It should fog up and be nice and humid and moist in there, and the perfect climate for these to root out. And then this is my other plants I have. This is my raspberry. We tip layered it. So the plant was here. We bent a cane down, stuck it in here, and it came up on the other side, and it has roots. I checked, and then I chopped it off. And then I also heard you can root them from cuttings. So we just took a cutting, stuck it in here, see if that works. These are some more Barbados cherries. I was really lazy and I just jammed them all in one pot. You don't want to do that either, because then you have, if they end up living, then you end up having like 5 or 10 Barbados cherries in one pot, which you have to then separate, which then stresses them out. Here we have 6 longevity spinach plants. They're rooting out. And then a couple flats of chia cuttings that are rooted out. Pigeon peas we're sprouting to put in our food forest. This is a Pakistan mulberry cutting from our tree over there. So we're cutting, stuck it in here, and it's rooting out and growing. I've heard Pakistan mulberry is hard to grow from cuttings, but we did it. I've heard other people can do it too. This is it's not edible, but it is apparently, I didn't know this, but it's an orchid tree. So it is invasive, beautiful and invasive, and apparently the white type you don't want because the seeds are fertile, and then if you let them flower, which is why you grow it, they'll spread everywhere and be all over your yard, and you really don't want that. And then the red type, you can only propagate it from air layering, apparently. So this is the kind, that's the kind you want to grow. I don't know which kind this is, so I guess we'll just leave it in the pot, and then if it's the white kind, we'll scrap it, or I don't know. And then this is Jerusalem artichokes. I got them from my friend. It was all dried out tubers in his garage. And I said, hey, can I have a couple of those? He said, sure. So I took them, soaked them in water for maybe a day or two, and then they were all wrinkled out, and I put them in water and they all stretched out. And I planted them in here, and most of the root rotted, but part of it didn't rot, and it grew, so that's exciting. I'm kind of collecting all of these perennial permaculture plants. Plant in our backyard. Oh yeah, and then I also have a sugar apple cutting here that had a root, but I think I overwatered it and it kind of started rotting. So I took it out, cut the bottom off, cut the rod off, and stuck it back in there. So hopefully it'll grow. There's a couple avocado seedlings I'm going to graft. And there's a desert rose seedling. And a citrus that I might plant and end up grafting. So I think that's it. I hope those Barbados cherries will grow. If they don't, we can just get more cuttings. It's not really a big deal. But thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.